What's up, Internet world? Matthew here, coming to you from the gorgeous Comset State Park and Nature Preserve and the edge of the world. Well, the edge of my world anyway. I am standing on a bluff about 100 feet or so from the beach, overlooking the beautiful Long Island Sound. It is an astoundingly clear day. The water is perfectly glassy still. I can see Connecticut very clearly. And it's also Thanksgiving, so if I continue to publish on time, this will be a week from today, and I'm hoping you all had a wonderful holiday if you're celebrating here in the States. Alright, so all that intro's out of the way. From the last vlog, I was talking about activation energy and how it is required in order to pursue any human activity, especially those most worthwhile. And that sometimes we have to force ourselves to do what we don't want to do in order to get the things that we want. And this started to jog my mind to thinking about something else that's very unpleasant. And that has to do with how my business got its name. Back in the summer, I took my daughter swimming to Target Rock Nature Preserve, which is actually a few miles from here. And I have a video down below, a link you can check out, recording that wonderful time I had with her. But as we're heading to our swimming spot, she somehow, like 5-year-olds do, gets a burr caught in her beach shoe. And she's in pain, she's freaking out, especially when I pull it out and it looks all scary. And I'm like, honey, calm down. Look, see that plant over there? It's the same thing. It's from that plant. It's just a burr. And she calms down a little bit, but she's crying. She demands to know why the plant has to have what she calls a mean part to it. And I said, well, look around. I said, there's not a lot of soil for plants to grow in. So this plant has evolved a way to keep its seeds safe. I said, this is basically a seed pod. And also allows the seeds to get caught in what few animals pass by. So they don't get eaten and they get to move somewhere else. And I said, there's nothing mean or evil about it. That this is just what the plant needs to do. I explained to her that all organisms operate on the same basic drive: survive and reproduce. And this drive is found in all organisms on this planet: plants, deer, foxes, rabbits, horseshoe crabs, and humans. I told her that contrary to what others may tell her, that is the very nature of nature, and that there is nothing evil about that. The truth is that life just is, and we just are. For all of its burrs and its downbeats, life really is a beautiful symphony. And despite our own delusions of grandeur, humans are not separate from that. I think of the words of poet and philosopher Khalil Gibran, who said, "Oftentimes have I heard you speak of one who commits a wrong as though he were not one of you, but a stranger unto you, and an intruder upon your world. But I say that even as the holy and the righteous cannot rise above the highest which is in each of you, so the wicked and the weak cannot fall lower than the lowest which is in you also." Probably the most telling truth about our culture is the fact that up until a few decades ago, we didn't know what serial killers really were. We didn't even categorize them as such. It was only the result of a couple of enterprising FBI agents and a psychologist that eventually sat down and really looked at the pattern and figured it out. Up until that point, in the 70s, serial killers were not even thought of as such. They were just crazies who did horrible things, killed people in vile ways, and were either executed or locked up for life, and that was it. But what these investigators found was very disturbing, really upended convention. They discovered that with the right stressors in childhood and the right trigger in adulthood, literally anyone could become a serial killer. And this unnerved everybody. But as uncomfortable as that fact is, it also means that any of us could choose to become the most celebrated hero or saint, as long as we chose to apply our energy to much more worthwhile pursuits. For me, growing up and believing that the world was a horrible place filled to the brim with wicked people who didn't know God's love, at least not until he bombarded them with his fiery judgment, did nothing to endear me to my fellow humans. Ironically, it was as I grew up and understood this very truth I'm talking about, that all people are just doing what they can to survive and feel better, that I started to love humanity a lot more and really savor the relationships that I had. So I named my business Monster Health and Fitness because I discovered an amazing strength that could be attained when we go into our darkness, find the monsters within that we hide there, and bring them up to the surface for all to see. In the process, see, we discover that they were never monsters in the first place, that these were just aspects of our true nature that we didn't think were good enough for the rest of the world to see. Like we were some sort of aberration, when really, we're all the same in that regard. Yet, there are people who will do horrific things to other human beings, but it's all done out of fear, out of this need to hide our true nature. That's why I believe it's so important for us to be honest with ourselves and bring these parts of ourselves that we don't think are good enough up to the surface. Everybody does this. From gangbangers to hate groups, from pickpockets to banksters. Everyone is acting on that drive that Dr. Marissa Peer talks about, this program, I am not enough. They think that if I steal enough and eliminate my enemies, then I'll be at the top and I'll be enough. And still others think that if they ban and make everything they don't like illegal, that they'll be the moral authority and then they'll be enough. It just doesn't end. There's no relief from these kind of pursuit. Every crime or violent act of violence committed by another person is not the result of a monstrous force. It's ironically the result of trying to keep those monsters locked within some cave hidden in the dark recesses of our minds. As I said in my vlog, The Cave, it is this act of self-hate that requires so much effort that keeps us from really doing the things and living the life that we want. And it takes that intense activation energy to go in, to face those primal aspects of ourselves and be honest and bring them out. And then use that now freed energy to go pursue something much more enjoyable and worthwhile. You know, trivial stuff like happiness and love. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength, and no, it's not something you'll want to do right away. But in my own journey, I discovered how important doing this really was. And I implore you to take some time, look within, get brave, and be honest about the true nature of your own nature. So, if you like what you heard here today, please comment, share, subscribe. And if you hate it, please comment, share, subscribe. And I want to thank you for tuning in. And I hope you're having an amazing life. And if not, I hope you're able to summon the activation energy you need to go out and get what you really want. From beautiful Long Island, the edge of the world, I want to wish you all peace, love, and protein pancakes. Talk to everybody soon.